Allston has a long association with artists, whether as a performance destination, a springboard to fame, or a permanent home. In recent years, that character has been amplified through community engagement and economic growth in Allston Village, but it's also a delicate ecosystem threatened by market forces. That's why Allston Village Main Streets is putting creative elements in focus in a public art project with an art installation on Brighton Avenue. To tell us about Postcards from Allston are the executive director of the Main Streets program, Alex Cornacchini, and its partner in the project, documentary photographer Edward Boches. I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us, Chris.
I want to start with Alex, if you could sort of set the context here about what some of the people who are the subjects of this photo project describe as a pivotal moment. What does that mean for the mission of Main Streets?
That's a really good question. So, as we all probably know, Allston has a rich and diverse culture stretching back through many decades. And recently we found ourselves at a pivotal moment in which many different forces are about to change our neighborhood. There's a lot of new development in the neighborhood. There's a lot of money being funneled into our neighborhood. And there's been some sort of panic among the residents and the people that have called Allston our home, in which they believe that the neighborhood is starting to change, and they're starting to feel like their sense of place is being sort of lost. So, Allston Village Main Streets has been working to preserve the physical and cultural vitality of our neighborhood, and we do that through various projects and programs and initiatives. And one of the programs that we've started is with Edward Boches, the local documentary photographer, called Postcards from Allston.
Edward, along with being a photographer, I would judge you as someone who's a little bit like a social observer and anthropologist. What attracted you to this subject here in Allston?
So literally, it started really just as a photo project. In fact, I wasn't even sure it was a project yet. I live right on the border in Packard's Corner, and I was just constantly attracted to the neighborhood and the landscape and the people who I found incredibly welcoming and genuinely diverse in almost a harmonious way, is a term I've heard from someone from Allston. And I started taking the photographs, and then they started to have a very particular quality to them. They were very colorful. They were very graphic. They had a real sort of visual style. And I said, hi, these would make fun postcards. It was sort of a joke, like who would send a postcard from Allston? But I pitched the idea to Alex and Allston Village Main Streets, and they loved it. So it really sort of started to build and expand the project. And one of the reasons I went to Alex with it, and when I first talked to him, and I think it aligned with exactly what the mission was, as I was taking the photographs, it was impossible not to notice the contrast between the old and the colorful and the creative and sort of the weirdness of Allston with the new development everywhere that has emanated out of the New Balance headquarters and the Celtics facility. And right away you look at that and you say, uh-oh, is this going to be bad gentrification, or is there an opportunity to retain what makes Allston, I think, Boston's last real authentic neighborhood as this development continues?
Alex, what I see by looking at all these different photos, at least the portraits, is that the attention here is not just on artists, but combining them with other people. The state rep, the man who runs the pizza shop. What's the importance of that equalizer?
Well, so, a lot of different people that we photographed kind of run in separate circles. We have the activists that stay with the activists. We have creative people that stay with creative people. We have business owners that don't really interact too much with activists or with creative people. So by celebrating everyone together, it brings everyone up to the same level. So it's not saying that one group of people are better than the other. We're trying to say that all of these types of people can be found in Allston, and we want to celebrate that. We want to lump Representative Kevin Honan in with the muralist. We want to lump our business owners in with our activists. We want to celebrate the community as one, because that's what it really is.
Edward, a lot of your portraits, you're placing people in their context or their element, their occupation. The man who runs the pizza shop, that could have been a photo almost by August Zander back in the 1920s. But
Oh my gosh, well, thank you for that.
but on the other hand, you have the civic leader who's got these skateboarders going every which way.
So, yeah, I know.
I love that. What was going on in your mind when you took that picture?
Well, that was the one fun, like, semi-manipulated photograph. And Tony wanted to be photographed at that park. And I try to make these collaborative because, as I explained to everybody, I may be taking the photographs, but this isn't my story. I have the privilege of telling your story. So I ask everybody where they would like to be photographed, and I try to make it as collaborative as possible. He wanted to be photographed at the park. So we did a number of things there. And then he said, hey, what if we go over to the skate park? And I was really only going to take a portrait of him, but later on, when I looked through my images, I realized, oh, I have all these other photographs of skaters crossing. So that's the one that's a little bit manipulated in Photoshop. So there's multiple images combined together. All the others are more, pure, straightforward photography. But it went with his personality. He's a very upbeat, fun-loving guy. The one comment I want to add that does tie all of these people together, and I photographed in a lot of towns in Massachusetts, from Cape Cod to Haverhill, and I've met a lot of people who live in different places. No exaggeration, I have never photographed anywhere where the people who live in the town care so much about it and feel so strongly about the town's diversity and Allston's diversity and the things that sort of define it. It's actually, it's amazing the passion of people that people have for that. And I think as we decided who should be in the photographs, it was, there's an awful lot of people at every walk of life who care and give and try to make Allston a better place. And it shouldn't just be celebrities or famous people. It should just be anyone who is doing something and trying to do something to make Allston a better place to live.
Alex, what I also see, even beyond the particulars here, is a quality of inclusivity. Just in the news lately, we hear about, supportive housing being developed in Allston, kind of housing that a lot of other communities don't want in their backyard. What about that character of Allston?
Well, so I think what you're trying to say is that Allston has a character that can't really be found in any other neighborhood. And that's really, Edward was kind of the mastermind behind this idea. He brought it to me and kind of developed it. And he's been doing most of the behind the scenes work. Allston Village Main Streets has worked with partnering Edward with local people in the community. And everyone has been so excited to be a part of it. I think we photographed Rosie Hanlon, who's one of the people at the Jackson Man Community Center yesterday in front of the Jackson Man. And as we all know, Jackson Man is in, threatened of being demolished and redeveloped. And so it's so important to have places like community centers like the Jackson Man around. And by celebrating Rosie and what she does, it elevates people like that to, continue on their path and to spread their work and their joy around.
And I guess inclusivity is a quality that people seek out in Allston Village Main Street District too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the best parts about Allston is that it's so diverse. I always say one of the best parts of my job is when I go out to lunch, I can go anywhere in the world. There's Korean places, Thai places, Japanese places, Russian bazaars, a Turkish place just opened up. And by celebrating the inclusivity within the neighborhood, we don't put these types of individuals into a certain box. We bring them into the neighborhood.
Edward, what does inclusivity mean for the byproduct, the end product of the art here? Because if people have to spend hundreds of dollars to get a big frame and stick something on a wall, that's not quite as inclusive, but what about this project? What are we
So,
talking about?
a couple-
Postcards, maybe?
Right, yeah, a couple of things on that. One is, I also want to just augment one thing that Alex said. Every single person that I have talked to, including older people who have lived in Allston their entire lives and maybe in their 60s or 70s, Rosie among them, and she's not that old, and she certainly looks younger, but every single person has mentioned diversity as one of the things they love about Allston. And as we started to evolve this project, we said, you know what? I mean, I've had gallery shows, and certainly every artist wants to be in a gallery and sell their work, but this felt like this should be like just incredibly accessible and affordable. So right now we actually have postcards, and we're selling them in little packages of 10 for $10. Right now they're on sale at Artful Edge. We hope to be able to sell them online and then in some other stores around Boston. And I'm not making any money on this, and neither is Alex. All the money just filters through Allston Village Main Streets to support the arts community in Allston. And I have talked to a couple of the galleries, a couple of the frame shops about selling prints. And I would sell them at significantly less than I might if I were doing, a gallery thing. So maybe, $50. That may sound high, but it's an original work of art, and it will be limited editions. And between you and me, if someone said, geez, I really want that and I can't pay that much, we'd make it work.
Okay. I have just a little time for Alex. Any event coming up or a website people should be looking for about this project?
Yeah. So our website is alstonvillage.com. Edward and I also run the Postcards from Allston website. It's called greetingsfromallston.com. And there's two different subsects of that website. There's the postcards, which is the pictures Edward takes of Allston, of the character, the grittiness of the neighborhood. And then the portraits of Allston, which is what we've been discussing, the taking portraits of people in Allston that are making a difference and celebrating them.
Well, I enjoyed it all very much. Thank you, both of you, for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, Chris. One last thing, and we're going to try to have a socially safe sidewalk opening on April 24th, Saturday, 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And if we're lucky, we'll even have some snacks, and we'll have some tables for other artists to display their work as well. We want it to be a community project.
And thank you for that flash. Documentary photographer Edward Boches, and from Allston Village Main Streets, Alex Cornacchini. We'll have more news in just a moment.